Next, let's reassemble the inner and outer valves of the valve plate. The parts for both the internal and external valves are identical, except for the addition of a valve seat in the interior valve assembly. Lay the valve plate on a flat surface. To assemble the inner valves, insert the valve spring retainer. Next, place the seal into the valve plate. Then the valve spring, the valve, and finally the valve seat. Cover the valve seat with a thin coat of oil before inserting. Gently tap the valve seat into place until it is flush with the valve plate as shown. For review, watch the last valve assembly being reinserted. Next, reassemble the exterior valve assemblies. First, insert the seal, then the valve, then the valve spring, and finally the valve spring retainer. Since the valve spring retainer is plastic, always be sure to inspect it for damage. If it is damaged, replace it. For review, watch the last valve assembly being reinserted. One final note. Be sure that the V in the valve spring retainer for each valve is pointed toward the center. At this time, check the oil level of the pump and add oil if needed. The oil level should be filled to the bottom of the rectangular cavity. Be sure you have something under the pump to catch oil that will be displaced during the next step, bleeding of the diaphragms. Depress all three of the diaphragm centers with one hand as shown here. With your other hand, rotate the shaft on the hydraulic end of the pump. Keep rotating the shaft until oil comes out of all of the diaphragms. The bleeding of the diaphragms is now complete. Place the valve plate against the pump and reattach it by means of two Allen head screws at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. It is easier to place the Allen head screws into the valve plate first. Once again, check the oil level of the pump and add oil to replace the oil used for bleeding the pump.